Flanders from Grand Valley State College, who discussed with us the process and significance of this archaeological find.
It's a very relatively rare find in this area. There have been probably about a half dozen mastodons, or parts of mastodons actually, found in this area. And this is probably the best preserved example I've seen from anywhere in this area. And so it's significant in the case that we have a good part of the animal, and in most cases it's a find of a scapula or a molar or something like that. And we have the top of the skull, the tusks, and the upper jaw in the head portion. We found a good portion of the vertebral column in the neck area, and also a portion of the vertebral column beyond that point, and also the ribs almost all the way back to the end of the animal, plus some bones that are what we would consider, well, front leg bones, but we would consider wrist bones. So that our interpretation of this is that the animal was in the bog, mired down, trying to paw its way out, so that it was kind of in an upright position. And so when this clam scoop came through and took the bones out, what they took was the top part of the body, the top part of the skull, and the front part of the lower legs, the front legs. It's an elephant, pure and simple, member of the family Elephantidae, I think it goes. And it's an extinct form of elephant, and probably became extinct in the New World, in North America, somewhere in the neighborhood of 6,000 to 8,000 years ago. And it was probably here at the time people were here, and we're still looking for evidence for human activity in this find. I have found nothing so far. We don't think there were people involved in this. It probably died in the bog and was simply picked up by the scoop that was taking the marl out of the foundation. And the bones came out in the back dirt, and nobody recognized them for what they were. Some of the neighborhood kids came around and found the bones laying there and took them home. And one of the fathers of the children, Ken Butts from Granville, recognized them for something that was not a horse or a cow or, you know, the ordinary kind of animal you would expect here, and called the museum and called us. We went out and identified it as an elephant. So the next process that we're engaged in now is to dig out as much of the remains as possible from the back dirt that was taken out of the foundation. And a portion of the top part of the mound of dirt was the marl that was part of the bog deposit way down deep, probably, as far as we can tell now, maybe 5 or 6 feet deep. And the elephant was stuck in that. So what we're doing at the present time is removing as much of the marl as possible by shovel and hitting the bones as they come up in this marl deposit. It was probably in one piece, more or less, at the time it was dug out. But of course now, after having been pushed up there by a bulldozer, it's kind of scattered all through this top layer. So we're digging with shovels in clay. It's not a very the best situation to work in, but we're getting more and more parts of the animal now. The nice part of it is, if something is in marl, and this is a very heavy clay deposit, the bones come out almost pristine. And as I said before, we have preservation on this material that is just fantastic, really.
I was with the first group of students that were out there. The first day was probably the most exciting because it's the biggest finds, but not by no means the only excitement. We've been out there for almost 21 days now, finding things every day but one, and a lot of hard work. A few days we've been pretty lucky because it hasn't been raining consistently, and we're digging up on a hill or on a mound of dirt. But as it rains, it, of course, kind of just gathers in the clay and gets real mushy. Well, my very first project that I was going to work on in this last year's class was something on mastodons or mammoths. So it was a real excitement to have Doc say, this is something really exciting, extinct elephant of some kind. And as each of the pieces were coming out, you start yelling and jumping and trying not to jump out of the people on pieces of elephant, but it's very exciting.
It's special in the sense that this is the best find that we have made, of course, at Grand Valley. We have two other examples of mastodon remains that have been published in this area, one tooth and one portion of a scapula or shoulder blade. But this is the most complete, with the exception of one or two, one from Lapeer County in southwestern Michigan, or western Michigan actually, one in Lapeer County that was relatively complete. And but this is the only one that I've seen around here that includes this much of the animal. And of course you can see, you know, looking at the number of bones, that we've got a very special find here.